Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Serbian Corner show where a couple of Serbians talk about the Nuggets on DNVR YouTube channel, DNVR Nuggets podcast feed. Here we are on camera finally. My name is Voja. With me today is Miroslav from Pančevo. And we have not unlike Emily in Paris, we have Brandon in Brazil with us. What's up, guys?
Good day, gentlemen. This is the sound of dominance. This is the sound of 6 in a row, the longest winning streak in the league. So I'm going to be really cocky today, and I apologize up front. And this is why we are doing this unique podcast with three guys on three different continents. So you're welcome.
Yeah, how do you guys feel about being possibly the first Nuggets podcast that's from three different continents?
We can't be in like a ton of competition as far as potential ones, but it does feel good. It does feel good. I always think there's no better way for the people to get their Serbian fix than from an American stuck in Brazil. So let's do this. I'm ready.
Yeah, let's go. I mean, we have one Serbian in Serbia. Actually, I'm in Nebraska, so there it is. So what this show is usually a weekly recap of Nuggets basketball. So we have a malleable schedule. Just we have double games this weekend. So we're on Monday. Usually it's over the weekend, but we have our quick takeaways, main themes, disagreements, everything else in between. So first off, we usually start off with the Rakija Shot. So this is a Serbian national drink, alcoholic drink taken before dinner. It was like a toast.
I'm familiar.
Yes. So the guys do it at the post games or pre games, with various, I guess, likings or success of tastings. We really like it. I mean, there's like obviously certain types that are not that great, but usually we're better equipped to deal with them than you guys from America, I would say.
Yeah, man. Yeah. There's good rakia and bad rakia. That I've learned pretty quickly. Rakia I'm into. Oh, can I get a final ruling on this? Am I supposed to shoot this stuff or sip it chilled? I get both answers depending on who I am.
Because it's both true.
Yeah, there are different schools to it, so it just depends on how soft your mouth is. So.
All right. Well, I was gonna say like it depends on the mood. Like if you're before dinner, like from my dad, for example, and I when I would go home, like we would take a small shot glass, and then you would eat it with like a salad or something before dinner, and that's like meze. And then sometimes if you're in company, you do a shot, or like sometimes it's like whiskey. Like depending, I guess, it also depends on the quality of rakia. If it's really good, then you can sip it. Why shoot it? So
right.
That's why there's no wrong answer. I think you drink it.
I'm not a big rakia drinker, so I do it quickly, so I get it over with quickly. So I can go to other stuff. Hey, it's the truth. I'm telling no lies here.
All of our Serbian listeners just logged off.
What you gonna do?
So this is your segment, Voja. Wait, before you get started, I want to tell you over here it's a cachaça shot, and that's sugarcane rum, and it's worse. It's a lot harder. So I'm in on the rakia. Okay, so nice. Do your thing.
No, this usually segment is like a quick headline or something that made like a strong impression on us this week. And just first of all, just like some housekeeping. Adam mentioned it during the week for the chat. Like keep it in English, not just to like include everyone, which is also great, but also just they're talking about sponsoring the show, and if you get it to the people in marketing and stuff, if they see a lot of Serbian. Just in Serbian talk, like they'll think it's for Serbian audiences and they can't sell stuff over there with our show. So do us a favor and keep it in English if you can. And also just because there's half audience American, half Serbian. So might as well have the jokes so everyone can understand them, because it's really funny when the guys go back and forth.
We know you know English because you're watching us.
Fair. Yes, that too. So let's start off with our first shot. Mira, you want to start us off with what happened last weekend?
Yeah, my Rakija shot of the week happened like 7 years ago on the All-Star weekend. That's how far away it feels to me right now. It was like 10 days ago or something like that. And it's the bromance at the All-Star game. And this is not something new. We've seen footage of Nikola and Luka horsing around 2 years ago in a bus going to Luka's first All-Star game. And Voja, you can give us more insight of it, but when you meet somebody who speaks your native language far from home, it's a cool thing. And if that guy shares the same bread with you, as Nikola once said, all the better. This time, the NBA decided to give them more behind-the-scene airtime, and it resulted in some hilarious bits. It makes sense that they would want to team up at some point of their careers. Just for the record, I'm against super teams. I don't like super teams at all. But if you would see Nikola and Luka, and I actually would prefer Nikola and Giannis to team up because those two are really on the margins of the NBA superstars. So that would be like an FU thing to the NBA establishment. But
Sure.
if not, I could live with Luka and Nikola playing together, but in Denver. This is my take about it.
Yeah,
I think in these days of NBA player empowerment, I think as soon as Boban retires in Dallas, then I think Luka, he's free to go wherever he wants, so he can go to Nikola.
I wonder. I'm thinking of the Embiid and Harden thing, and how we would definitely go through the same kind of convo. Like, would they fit together? How would it fit? And then they'd look incredible, and we'd feel very dumb right away.
Yeah.
I do think Giannis would be the better fit, but Luka and Jokic would be fun. And to your point, Miro, this type of super team, either way, I think would still have that anti-establishment feel to it. The guys that have, I don't want to say been rejected, but certainly not welcome with open arms into the NBA's inner circle. And I think the understanding of who can be great, how they got to that place, what it looks like for them to be great, it's been pushed forward quite a lot by these three guys, two of them in particular. And there would be kind of a fun, like, I don't want to like push back against maybe some of the general or vaguer kind of xenophobic reservations, right, about other guys being dominant in the NBA. It would be a fun kind of slap in their face for those guys to team up because they'd be real good.
Especially if they teamed up in a smaller team. Like we were talking about Denver, obviously hoping here because that would be like the ultimate. Because other teams like OKC had the big three, so even though they're basically like in the worst market like Oklahoma probably for NBA, they still had their ups and they went to the finals. Like for Denver, especially how they're treated and with like people can't even watch them. If there's a super team in Denver, it would just break the mold for the NBA like style. Like you would have to talk about them. Like there's no other way to say it. Because yesterday you talking about Philly, like on TV yesterday after everything Harden did, you turn on ESPN during the broadcast and they're gushing over his style of play. Which again, the most annoying thing is he is actually playing really well, but then like what got to that point, it's kind of like what happened in Brooklyn. Like he was that terrible in Houston, then went to Brooklyn and played well, and everyone gushed over him because again, objectively, he's a good player. But then I don't know how people can just brush aside like the human aspect of it, how like he treated everyone else and just the whole sport, because it's kind of a slap in the face of just the. I mean, well, I guess for the fans, like for the league, I guess it's on par. It's not really a slap in the face for the league.
It's nothing new, man.
Yeah,
it's nothing new. What's crazy is that the Nets thing didn't work out. You know? and that's almost a small victory in itself. But then we got this trade, and none of us want to see Philly doing well. So
yeah, and as far as the bromance, like you said, Miro, with like speaking the same language in different countries, it's really cool. Like it's kind of indescribable. Like I mean, I'm pretty sure. I have to say, like I don't know, like with Americans when they go to somewhere touristically, like outside, you can go to Europe or Asia, and it's not like you're going in the same groups. You already know like people that are gonna be there with you. It's like just randomly seeing someone like or you hear the language, they were like, oh my god, that's crazy. Like it doesn't matter. Like you might not be even friends if you're back home. Like you're just different people, but because you're from the same country, you at least have that. Like, oh, we're in a strange land, like we have this common ground, and so at least like there's some familiarity and like kinship that forms. And then two of them are just goofy, so like it actually goes beyond like just we just speak the same language. They're actually friends,
right?
And then it just the jokes there. It's kind of funny, like especially kind of watching from like we're from from the Balkans and stuff. You watch two of them, just idiots goofing around. Is literally like you're watching kids. Like that's all we would do. Like if you were in school and in someone from your club, because we don't have like it's not school sports, organized school sports. It's yours from a club. So you're in the same school. You go to like a trip, like a school trip, and you see someone from your club, and you would do the thing of like you're waving like across the room and someone would ignore you, and then you like go mad and then like jump them, which
They
like
both
the two
have
like
they
throw
both
the
have real
Nerf
little
ball.
brother.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
throw
yeah.
the Nerf balls at each other once the other one's not looking, or like in the
Mm-hmm.
cafeteria, like throw paper at them. Like that's kind of the goofy stuff. Like you would, which I don't know. I'm not exclusive. It's not happening in America. It's just that I can see it. That they're doing that, even though it's like the All-Star game and everyone's so serious and like trying to be fancy, and like Jared Allen's being trashed for wearing a sweater. And the two of them are just throwing Nerf balls in the middle of the media pressers. Like it's so awesome. Like it's just hard not to love it. Like
Yeah, and I'm just reading the tea leaves because I obviously don't know the guys, but I feel when I see those videos, like Luka is the biggest Jokic fan in the world. He just loved that guy. You can see the love in his eyes, and it's real thing. And Jokic is like, yeah, this is young me coming to America 7 years ago. I'm so proud of him. So it's a really nice story. I love it. There were some jokes in Serbian actually. I don't know if Luka was just joking that he doesn't know all the words in English, and they would just say, "So how do you say this in English?" and things like that, and it's hilarious. I'm really sorry.
Yeah, it was the mountains when they said in the broadcast when he asked Draymond Green if he's going to the mountains in those shoes. Like they videotaped like that, they had a camera on the sidelines and they picked up with the mic. And in Serbian, he asked him, "How the hell do you say mountains?" Well, I guess how the f you say mountains in English. And Jokic like looks at him like, mountains. And then he's like, "Oh, you're going to the mountains, Draymond?" And that's so for me, it was doubly funny because of the you're like when you start speaking your native language in like a setting where it's like mostly English. It's really tricky to like switch back and forth. Like when you just speak English, like after my sophomore year when there was like no one here from Serbia, like I just switched over to English and it was super easy. The freshman year when I had someone from home here, it was like my accent was thicker. Like you would like pause for a second and like try to remember the word. And so the two of them always have someone speaking in their language next to them, and then you just have to like turn around and like tell something to Draymond. And that's what was also funny because of course he knows how to say mountains. It's just in that moment they were talking in Serbian and he just laughed. So that was also like amazing and hilarious too.
It's funny how you framed it, Voya, because rarely am I in that situation between speaking English and just sort of how I look. Rarely am I the only one in a place.
Yeah.
In Florianopolis, I'm like the only American on the island right now. There's no people don't even assume that I speak English. And so that's kind of been interesting for me to just sort of get used to that perspective. And then just once, I was at a zip line like 3-4 days ago, and I thought I heard someone say something in English, and my entire I turned around. You know what I mean? Yeah. I was like, oh, I can do that, and so it's exciting and fun.
Yep.
And then also my girlfriend Michelle, who grew up in the States but also in Brazil, she's with her family now, and she keeps going back and forth. And like the other day, she just said an entire paragraph to me in Portuguese by accident. And I was like, hey, I have no idea what you're saying. So it is something with Jokic, compounded by the fact that both of these guys are leaders of an organization, right? So it's not just run-of-the-mill language stuff. It's going from responsible, serious to when they get to be together, that little brother in the way they want to be, right?
Yeah, because it's also like back in Europe, like in national team stuff, it's the coach that's the leader. So that's also like they never have to worry about like being a franchise leader. It's starts from the coach, and then the players fall in line after that. So that's also like a different situation. That's why they can be like that. That's why they're a little more goofier. Like Giannis obviously like came in earlier, but like he also grew up in that system. So that's like an interesting aspect of it, just being like it's starts from Malone is the man, but if Jokic has fire Malone, they'll fire Malone. Back in Europe, it's like more with the coach than the player.
That's right.
Yeah.
Put Jokic in the doghouse in Europe easily.
Yeah, everyone also Brandon. Everyone thinks you speak Portuguese because of the shirt. I saw the comments. Everyone's excited about it.
Hey, Lynn, I know how to order a caipirinha in Portuguese for sure. I've got that part down.
That's all you need.
I can't get myself to the airport, though. That's going to be tricky. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, you have to pantomime, like go. Woo. So let's go over to the next shot. So this is my kind of impression of the week, like which something that I really love is like my best, half besting, half Rakija Shot is like when Jokic is statistically underperforming for like casual fans, when they see like 8 points or like 15 points and a triple double, which usually means his team's really doing really well. Like he doesn't have to do the goldfish act of just filling up the vacuum of 50 points that they need to win the game and like 18 rebounds and stuff. It really also, like, it's funny to me because it also exposes idiots that actually critique that game. Like when you see like someone posts like, oh, it's a unique stat line, like 8, 18, and 11. Everyone's like, 18 points. That's not the MVP. Like, really don't. Either you didn't watch the game, you also don't understand basketball because it's ultimately a team sport. And when the team's rolling, it's really fun to watch. Like,
I'll spare you the detective work, Voja. They didn't watch the game. That's what happened.
Yeah. Well, as a team sport, like, it's fun watching when a player takes over at a certain point of the game, like for a little bit. But just watching, like, it was painful watching for the most of the year when you just see him doing it. It's not like the other players don't want to play well, and you see there in their faces they're disappointed themselves that they're also disappointing Jokic and like failing him because he's putting such numbers. And now finally, when you have 76 points from the bench, like, you can have an 8-point game from him. And finally, like, I don't care if people say like, so now he has help, like they're actually playing better. I don't care. Let him have help. Like, that's how you get a title. Like, you're not going to get a title by putting up 50, 20, and 10 every game and you think you're going to win, you're going to win the title like that. So I love that part. Like, I hope it keeps up. I don't even care if it costs him the MVP. Like, we know, who the best player is, and the reason why everyone playing so well is partly because of him. So that's my racket. What do you guys think? Like, do you like those kind of games, or would you still want him to be like 26, 10 and 8?
Listen, our guy Swipa Cam had a good comment today on that. He said, do you know that Nikola Jokic had only 15 points in the game 7 against the Clippers when they beat them? And that was the most dominant game of Jokic ever. He was controlling every facet of the game. So it's really not about the points. You really need to tune into the game just to try to understand how impactful this guy is. And there were some interesting things about this last game against Portland, because I even saw that Nikola was returning back in switches. When he was switched on the smaller guy, he would just call Drew Eubanks and go back to him for some reason. It was just like, this is too easy. Let's just switch back and let's try something else. He was just toying like a cat with a mouse. Yeah. It was crazy. And then at one point, it was the second quarter, they started defending him with the zone defense. And I was like, what the fuck are you guys doing?
Oh, yeah, zone defense is always amazing.
That's just a bad idea.
He probably thinks the same thing too, right? He probably looks at it like, are you serious?
It's always, for me, like, I get so giddy when I see a zone against him, because like usually it doesn't even, it might not even result in his assist because the ball starts moving. It's just that when he gets in that middle, it's the least amount of work you got to do. You just stand there and then just do the the chess moves, like, oh, I'm gonna fake it here, head fake on the other side, then throw no look on the shot, or like a dunker spot. I love this. Darko had a comment like 10, 18, and 11 is just another triple double. 8, 18, and 11 is the stuff of legends, which is I'm pretty sure we'll say like, hey, remember you had an 8-point game against Portland, they beat by 35. Like the one shot game against Memphis, choice. By choice, yeah. And again,
but this one was healthier.
You said that the game 7 against the Clippers, Jamal had 40 points, and that's the secondary. Like you always remember how he dismantled, like, Zach Lowe and people, the higher up people talk about that game. They always say like how he dismantled the Clippers in game 7, even though Jamal had 40 points. Doesn't mean that he was the best player in the court, like even though he had 40. So, which again showed yesterday's like 37 points for Embiid. Someone mentioned like 27 free throws. Like, that's kind of.
I really miss the times when our second best player scores 40 points. So let's get back to that fast.
Yeah, I'd rather do that. Yeah.
That does. I think he would too. But I love those games, and I like the way you framed the question. I wrote Jokic's section in the grades this morning as well. You get the sense that he does too, right? This is greatness on his own terms, and he doesn't give a shit what sways the voters. He just doesn't, and so he took more joy in that. It was what was required of him. He absolutely could have found a way to score 2 more points, did not care.
He had like 6 chances for it, and he just passed every time.
Care. He was trying
because that was the good, like those were good passes. He wasn't like on purpose, like I'm not going to score on purpose. I'm just going to pass. He was like, just these are basketball plays, and I mean that's what I'm saying. Like I think the reason that like he also likes those games is always the thing, like the assist makes 2 people happy. It just that's basketball. Like if he can score, he'll score. But when the whole team is involved, you just feel like you're part of a brotherhood. Like not that you're just the one guy and then 4 other dudes, random dudes next to you. That's why, like when I got to the States, like playing random pickup ball wasn't as satisfying as going out with your friends in high school, like the people you know, and then just putting up like 3-on-3 games or like 5-on-5 with like 10 of your friends. Like you come in randomly and you're just random collection of people that just shoot around. Like that's not basketball. That's just shooting in a hoop. So that's why I think like it's just those are really fun times. And you see like Bryn Forbes and everyone gets excited. Like I think Bryn Forbes was one of those, like even though it wasn't like a vet like Rivers and Cousins, that it was kind of cast aside. Like he was kind of cast aside in a way, like, oh, you're fine, you're just a shooter. And he was, he came in as a mercenary professional. And I wonder by the end of the year, he'll start to smile more and like realize, oh my God, like there's joy in this again. Like, yes, I'm shooting, but it's not like end all be all. And like, we're not doing like all business, like, get black suits on and like dark sunglasses and we're just going to bury people. Like actually there's fun in this. So yeah, those are my favorite games. Like, hopefully like the fans will agree. I see some comments like say like the video if you can. I don't have the insight of how many people are watching, so hopefully there's a bunch.
Yeah, throw us a bunch.
Let's go to our Burek of the week. The nice juicy pastry dish that comes either with cheese, spinach, meat. Nikola Jokic just eat it, so that's why it's well known. We'll talk about this is a segment when it's like something either best of the week or something that something juicy, something we can sink our teeth in and talk about. Brendan, did you ever try it? Did you ever have a chance to try it?
I have not.
Oh, we gotta change that. Maybe next time if I'm driving to Denver, I'll like make a bunch and put it on ice. And
yeah, man. I also streets are talking about that Serbia trip. It's going from a pipe dream to a plan real fast, man.
You're gonna have a lot of Burek in Serbia.
Works for me.
Yeah, you guys gotta do like a cleanse before you go and like just dieting, and then like go there and just gain like 10 pounds.
Yeah, like no meat and no pastry for a month before coming to Serbia.
Yeah.
Good call.
That's
Haley says I want Burek right now. Yeah, me too. I might actually make it in the next couple of days. Look, we've been talking about it every week. I haven't eaten it like since I got back from Serbia. So yeah, so we're gonna start off. Miro, like what's your Burek? What are you gonna throw at us?
Our show is a weekly one, so I need to wait for a full week to fire up some of my takes, unless I just tweet the shit out of them. And I make some notes, during the week to make sure that I don't miss a thought I think it's worthwhile using on the show. And then Adam or Harrison or a Brazilian convict Brandon just say that same thought in one of the midweek shows, and I just go, ah! There's my pathetic impression of Schwarzenegger in his every new movie. So anyway, Adam already said something like this yesterday, but I don't care. Let's see the top Nuggets in per 36 minutes production. So if we go to Nuggets scorers per 36, minimum 300 minutes played, Jokic, of course, is the first, 27.9. Forbes is second with 18.7. Very impressive. Bones Highland, 17.5. Will Barton, 17. And Aaron Gordon, 16. Interestingly enough, if Cousins had enough minutes played, he would be second with 20.3. Now let's go to the rebounders. Also 300 minutes minimum. Jokic, 15 rebounds. J-Mike, 9. Zeke, 8. Aaron Gordon and Davon Reed. Man, I miss Davon Reed. He hasn't been playing like for 10 games now.
I forgot. He checked in last night. I was like, oh shit, he's still on the team.
Yeah, he's just a garbage time now player, and I really like him, but you know what? We have better players now. So I really wish for him to have a really great NBA career because he deserves it. But I don't know, man. I mean, unless something strange happens in the next months or so, I don't see him playing at all with the
it's
Nuggets.
a luxury.
Of course,
Brent, I think Brent and you and I texted yesterday when you said that to me too. Like, oh, he's on the team. Like, yeah, like those are when you have good players there, then they're the ones that kick the the regular rotation guys into gear. Like Rivers has been playing much better since Reed was came on the team, just because he knows he can get benched for that guy. So also he can't play in the playoffs, so it's kind of tough to like integrate him now when you can't count on him then. So
that's right. So let's get back to my list. So what about DeMarcus Cousins? He has 17.4 rebounds per 36. So more than Nikola fucking Jokic, who is the second best rebounder in the league. So take that for what it's worth. Now let's get to the assists. Jokic, 8.8. Campazzo, 6.5. Monte, 5. Barton, 4.3. Bones, 4.1. You know what? Boogie Cousins, 4.2. He's actually top 5 in the assists as well. He's literally doing the same stuff he did in Sacramento, in New Orleans, back in the day when he was a superstar, just on a smaller minutes amount. His production is just awesome. And he's the only guy here that appears on all 3 lists. Well, when I cheat and put him there, even though he's not playing a lot of games. And I firmly believe that in that center rotation between Jokic and Cousins, and I hope Malone won't go small in those 8 minutes without Jokic in the playoff games. Yeah, I'm going crazy. I'm talking playoffs already. So I'd rather see him forcing the other team's hand by always playing big. And let's see what happens.
I think they will do that. I don't think. Yeah, I think Boogie's in. Yeah, I really doubt that there will be games.
I mean,
the playoff rotation scenarios
I can see. You know, when you go to 8-guy rotation or whatever, who do you cut out in order to have Boogie there? So I don't know, but I really, really hope he will stay there, because he's not only playing like a great rebound snatching playmaking center. He has unlocked both J. Mike Green and Zeke Naji as really good defenders on 4 rather than 5. His high rate of scoring and rebounding with 7.7 points, 6.6 rebounds, and also 1.6 assists in 13.6 minutes per game in his first 10 games is a rare phenomenon. I already tweeted that the last guy who did that on that small amount of minutes, was Moses Malone. And of course, it was the back end of his career, but nevertheless, it's Moses Malone.
You are like the Shakespeare of small sample size theater here. You are just off your rocker.
I love it. But that's all you need. You only need 8 minutes of Boogie. And you know what?
Sure.
In case Nikola gets into foul trouble and Boogie has to play 12 or 14 minutes, I feel pretty good about it as well. Mm-hmm. I don't want Boogie to play for 20 minutes because he cannot handle it right now. But 14 minutes, easy peasy.
Okay, so what's to finalize? What's your Burek? What's the main?
It's just the way Boogie has been playing for these 10 games. Of course, it wasn't on the same level from day one. He was really struggling at the beginning because he was completely out of shape and just trying to get healthy. But then you can see him ramping up, and after the All-Star break, and he actually had a couple of days more because he didn't play in that first game against Sacramento. Right. He's looking really, really sharp. And it's just Boogie is my Burek of the week this week. I love him.
You're kind of bearing the lead here, because you said, like you told us before, like the basically your thesis statement is Boogie's the best backup 5, might be the best backup 5 in the league now. Like
that's right. I wanted to pound on that as well. Thank you for bringing me home. So yeah, I really think, considering the skill and considering the production per minute, and that's actually the only thing that matters for a backup 5, because backup 5s will not be playing in playoffs for more than 10 minutes or so. Mm-hmm. I think Boogie is firmly my best backup 5 in the whole league.
Let's go with let's list like a few good backup 5s in the league that we kind of talked about before, and then have some stuff from the chat that we can kind of wrap the Boogie talk, especially with some interactions with Jokic, kind of conversations and that. So we talked about, we had like, Şengün is in Houston, that's okay. Phoenix probably has the best because they have like two right now, is McGee and Bismack Biyombo that played well with Chris Paul, right? Pacers have Jalen Smith. I think he counts kind of as a backup five or forward.
He's not in this conversation.
He's a project.
No, it's something. Yeah, but it's something like he's there, and also Goga Bitadze, but like whatever. Tice from Celtics. We have Rashawn Holmes and Matt too. I think from Matt too is kind of small ball too. Like Holmes is transitioned naturally into backup five because of Sabonis. There's like Millsaps in Philly. Dedman and Yurtseven were really decent in Miami, so like that's kind of the crowd he needs to like be compared to, I guess. Like if you guys
Charlotte, I'm not watching them.
Yeah. PJ Washington and
PJ Washington as well. Yeah,
and Trez. Drummond was a backup, but like now he's a starter, I guess. In Nets, so like we can't really like it's. I guess he was most of the year. So if you have some else, which again is, it just brings to the point like he actually might be in the conversation. Like he's very small sample size, but who knows? Like Hartenstein, Miroslav, we talked about him during the year. So like it's not
Hartenstein has
not
a great
market.
production, but do you think Hartenstein is a better player than Boogie?
No, that's what I mean. That's exactly the point. Like we can't, they might have struggled with just based on his reputation and like the grave injuries that he had.
Yes, yeah.
They we just kind of got him, and then a few things like the people talked about in the chat, like his and Jokic's interaction, as in kind of how they affect each other. Does Jokic kind of rub off some of his good stuff, rub off on Boogie, and like maybe some of the the dog in him, whatever the quotation marks, they go on to Jokic. I don't know about you guys. I don't know if that's the case. I think they're men on their own to be like that easily affected within a short of a time. I think the good part that gets that we don't kind of even notice. I kind of was joking, but it turned out to be maybe even true. The fact that Boogie is that like volatile, like kind of draws off tension off of Jokic. Like we don't see him being in that center of attention. Like I don't think he got a technical since Boogie came here. Like drawing fouls has become a little bit easier because Boogie's that large as well, and he gets the foul, gets the foul calls. So like that part, I think he affects the game well. What do you guys think about the off the court and the on the court effect? Just like with the small sample size.
The off the court thing is interesting, right? Because they don't. It didn't seem well. Boogie certainly didn't seem to respect him, right? Before he came here, we all know the meme and the GIF, but it was interesting to hear Jokic talk about it. Basically conceding that he didn't love him, but the way he said it, not in so many words, but he said he surprised me. Actually, he's actually a great guy. Heavily implies he maybe didn't think so before. But I think, listen, we've seen that before in Denver. With Boogie, with Austin Rivers, right? This is a really good comparison here with Austin. Both of these guys might be in Milwaukee still or last year, were it not for their league-wide reputations. Yeah, and Denver has
was Austin on Milwaukee first before?
No, he was rumored to have been circled by Milwaukee.
Yeah, that's right.
But they passed on him, and he came to Denver. And my understanding, it was this conversation, and Denver had a different perspective on it. And I think there are a lot of things that allow them to do that. Malone, we talked about this off air, is a huge factor, not just his relationship with Boogie, but his ability to keep locker rooms together. But then Jokic, right? Jokic has to get credit as a culture setter of someone who's, once he walked into that locker room, it's very clear he's not telling people how to be or who to be, right? Or imposing his will on them. And so I think there's a lot of space for guys who just come in, be themselves, worry about the basketball. And when that's the case for guys like Austin and Boogie, they're both in situations right now where in too big a role with too big of a contract, disasters. But where Denver has them, how they have them, huge assets, right? And so this is one of my favorite parts about Jokic, which is just, hey, like if you can play and if you want to be part of the team, there's room for everyone,
Did Miroslav, I think you and I talked in the first episode of the Serbian Corner, like around New Year's, it was Boogie was being mentioned, and I said, no, thank you, or like, can they fit, or maybe second episode, and like, can they fit together? And I was like, well, if anyone can change, like if anyone can assimilate someone like volatile as Boogie, like I think the Nuggets can, And this is if they do that, then this is the feather in the cap of the organization, like as a whole. Like, now it's like, once maybe an accident with Rivers, blah blah, but like the second time, it's getting there, like, and then that also brings in like the red flags on like the other players that couldn't fit in here, is like how like
Right.
actually
How
like good
bad
they
must
were.
that have been?
Yeah, how bad that was. Haley asked like what GIF it was. It was the GIF, kind of he was looking for Jokic against, like, it was when he was in Golden State. I guess he was bullying him, and he was just like, "Where's that guy?" Also, another thing for Boogie, which is probably humbling for him, is that he actually now is playing behind that guy he never respected, and you see him win the MVP that he never did.
Right.
And now,
Right.
which I wouldn't even care. Like I wouldn't even mind if if you talk to Boogie in person and he just tells you, "Yeah, I still think I'm better than him," and he wants to come out every backup minute and prove that he's better. Fine with me. Like, that improves the team. Like, as far as I'm concerned, like, as long as he doesn't like spill into the locker room or practice and he tries to show up, show him up. But like, I think that veteran presence, he's transitioning to a veteran, but I still think and he has a right. I mean, he had under 20 minutes, 19 points. That kind of stat line hasn't been done in like forever. So I think it's very interesting. And again, like, it might work for the Nuggets in the future if when all these max contracts kick in, they might become one of the veteran destinations, not the ring chasing like big market teams, but like, oh yeah, look at that. Like,
Right.
it's not, we weren't just on there as like a rag to throw around if we, just to throw in there and like whatever. Like, they actually invited them in as people and like actually
Hey
gave him,
man,
like,
we Jeff Green, right?
Who would have thought Austin Rivers would take over as a Gary Harris role, like guarding the best offensive guard player on another team? Like, not me.
Dude, we already have seen it, right? Jeff Green, who was in the Brooklyn situation,
Yeah.
signed with Denver, and when asked why, kind of talks about, like, I don't want to put words in his mouth. I'll say it, not him. I'll say it was kind of a circus in Brooklyn, right? And
Yep.
Jeff, in
He doesn't
different
seem
words,
like the guy.
yeah, it's just like a lot. And he think he was looking for a stable basketball situation, and Denver really is that right now. It's just crazy to think the growth in the perception of them around the league from when I got here till now. And it's there, I should say. But yeah, I do think that reputation is slowly changing. We won't see it manifest, right, in Dwayne Wade suddenly signing, right? But the Jeff Greens, the Paul Millsaps, and then even these scenarios, like Austin and DeMarcus Cousins are great example. The next time someone in those shoes is surveying their options, they have to feel better about Denver than other spots. And I do think that is something that was carved out intentionally by Tim Connolly, Michael Malone, all the way down.
Last thing I'm going to say about Boogie, I will go even further and say that he's playing so well right now. I wouldn't be surprised if, and listen to the hot take here, I wouldn't be surprised if he would command a big chunk of that taxpayers mid-level exception from the Nuggets next season, because that will be the only kind of deal that's not a minimum deal they will be able to offer to anybody. And I don't know if you feel that Boogie can play good enough to get like $5 million for next season, something similar to what Paul Millsap got last year.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think. Well, who knows? We'll see how the season unfolds. Like, you never know. Also, if he plays that well, maybe that's the thing. Of like, good, you earned your money, and go get paid somewhere else. Like,
Right. And that might be what he does, and good for him if he does. But again, what is his value around the league? And is it just the case that Denver still sees him as more valuable as other teams because they're not worried about the baggage, whether fair or not, that comes with these guys? And so it's a hard thing to sift through, I think. But for now, obviously 10-0 speaks for itself. But Mira, you described a particular dynamic where in the beginning he was just filling empty shoes. Like, oh, you're 7 feet tall and you can rebound, sick, you're welcome. But with each passing game, he is at the center of everything that second unit does well, right? 6 assists last night. They're kind of starting to play through him. And it's really cool to see.
Which again, kind of, maybe it is like one of those for future reference. We talked about like when Plumlee left, like, oh, if the Nuggets are going to miss him, and like, oh, it's fine. Like when Jokic was younger, you'd want to have your consistent bench playing similar style of basketball as your starters. And now we see with Boogie, like they actually are back to that kind of deal. Like you're not running everything through center, but you have a center that can pass off the, like when he rolls, there was a few plays when John Michael Green on the dunker spot, like he goes in the middle on the free throw line and does like the Jokic thing, like looks around and he can attack, but then he dumps it off down low or like down on the jumper. Like Joel Raj did a good like breakdown of his game, and there was a lot of passes when he gets in the middle and just kicks it on the corners to Bones or whoever's Forbes or whoever's on the court with him at that time. So like that's kind of interesting. Like we had a couple of years of like completely different second unit style of play from the first unit, and now we're seeing like maybe that actually it's not a bad thing to have that kind of consistency. Because of so many injuries that happened to the Nuggets, like then you have Monte we talked about Monte plays with Plumlee, then he goes in with Jokic, and it's not the big, like it's a big difference, but it's not like stylistically, it's not a different style of play. So like that's getting very interesting, and I mean we'll see. I mean I will see. I'm very excited. Like we can roll into another portion of our Burek beating up on the bad teams, because I think that's what will bring us. This team reminds me more of that 2018-2019 team when we were the second seed, and that's the second unit would come in and just keep it going, and then the whole game would feel under control. And so I think like that's what we can see with this kind of lineup when you have those three guards in Boogie and Jermichael. Like you have bully ball and you have some finesse with those guards. And I mean, I'm glad. Like I'm surprised what kind of good score we have against bad teams this year. Which I mean, if we have so many injuries, I think that's kind of a you have to do that to actually stay afloat. That's why they're afloat.
It's been their formula, dude. Right? That's why they're in the hunt. They've been one of the three best teams against below 500 teams, fighting that antiquated reputation they have as a team that doesn't show up for those games. But they have this year, and that's, you might be troubled by that win profile in a different context. But knowing what we do, if they're going to win a title, this isn't the final form of the roster anyway. You take those wins, you bank those wins. As a 5-man unit, I think they can destroy bad teams. We've seen it now, right? Even Facu coming in, he feasts on the cellar dwellers.
Yeah.
As far as the good teams, I don't know about the 5-man, but I am so much more confident now that like 8-9-man rotation. Can you pick 2-3 guys out of that bench group that help you?
Oh yeah.
And it's that we can take a deep breath about the bench right now, I think. And that almost feels like breathing through 2 lungs again.
Yeah. What do you think, Miro?
Well, the thing about that second unit that improved our chances of playing against even better teams is the fact that you now have more playmaking on the bench unit. And this is what I like with Boogie and Bones and with Austin Rivers and with Facu. All those guys are good playmakers for their positions. And you also have a very experienced bench unit now, because only Bones is the rookie there. And, because Zeke Naji was injured for the last couple of games. And then you have, J. Mike, who is not the creator, but he's a really good dunking position guy next to Boogie. But on the point of beating up bad teams, it just speaks. Frankly, I think that's a big thing about Michael Malone and his way of handling his team, because, the Nuggets really didn't have enough quality to win in a row against good teams this season because they just didn't have enough quality. But then again, they've been showing up for these lackluster teams and just beating them up, just like the San Antonio Spurs did for years and years under Greg Popovich. Greg Popovich never will let you, lose against on a random
That's
Tuesday
how you make
against
the playoffs
Orlando.
20 years in a row.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's pretty good.
Blow it, right?
Yeah. Another thing with fitting in, like, this is again kind of folds into the beating up on bad teams. Just we talked about Rivers, with the playmaking and stuff. We finally have a situation where his jab step is going to be like very useful, because we have Forbes and then Boogie's in the middle. A lot of his defenders have noticed, like yesterday was a couple of situations. His defenders have to then like sag off in the middle to account for Boogie, and so Boogie passes out, and then his jab step turns into a pump fake. So he pump fakes and then side steps and that's his like natural. And then he was making a lot of those like during the last few games. I don't know. I mean, it's anecdotally, but like, it's one of those funny things. Like before that, they were always, because we didn't have a playmaking middle guy. Like they were always just their defenders would be next to them, so his jab sets would be useless. And then there's no, now it's like you have always one half of the court available because open, because Forbes, like there's, I dare you to leave him open. Like the guy's like automatic, and we've been waiting for that. Like I don't care. He doesn't have to shoot over a guy and then goes into a crazy frenzy, like Steph Curry. Like just make the open ones. And because he has a reputation, that entire half where he's on, that defender cannot help. Like he helps. He gets 5 out of 6 threes. Like
even just seeing
that's why they're rolling
defenders. Like in the middle of the floor for once, or inside the 3-point line, even, right? Because it's just, even like before Boogie, even when it was J Mike, it was just pick and pop, and like no one, the whole game was played alongside the perimeter.
And it's because J Mike was the biggest guy on the court, and he needed to stay on the perimeter, so the biggest guy will go out, because Denver was playing so many small guys that couldn't score on the around the rim if J Mike is not out with his guard. And now you have J Mike in the dunker position, and he just plays beautifully.
Then lets him also, like through motion, goes out and pops. Right. Like it's not just standing around and always. It definitely was like just a few puzzle pieces to just unlock like everyone. It's not an accident. He's playing, because it was funny because he played like he's playing now with Boogie. He played like that with Jokic those few games when I think it was Gordon was out or Jeff Green, like there were people were out. I think Jeff Green was out with COVID, so it was Jermichael would step into a starting lineup, and Gordon would go and play a 3, and Jermichael was a 4, and he would do the dunker spot, and he would have really good games. And now you see like it's kind of translating with Boogie on there. Yeah. And let's finish up the Burek section with basically our dessert Burek. Maybe this week.
This is a huge Burek pie this week.
Yeah, it's a huge. Well, it's also like maybe we talked about with Eric last week, where there's like different types. So we had the meat and like the cheese, and now we can have like maybe cherry or something on to finish the segment up with just Murray and MPJ coming back. Well, at least like the MPJ news breaking that he might be back this week, and also the kind of guy he is. He posted on Instagram just randomly to like Isaiah Thomas, so we kind of knew something is brewing. And then Vogue reported it. He's the best. We had an big all-star show on Nuggets Serbia last week, and Miroslav was like joking, like I don't know what it was like Silver's email. How do we get Silver's email? And he's like, didn't MPJ like leak it by accident years ago?
His phone number on his
phone number.
Yep. And then went on Google and was like, yep, MPJ did it. It was like an Instagram story. so he did that again with Instagram, and we got official word that he might be going into Grand Rapids Gold soon enough. So I mean, we talked about rolling, beating up on bad teams with the bench. Like, talk about beating up on good teams with our starting unit. Like, if those two guys come back, it's just, as you said, like chef's kiss, cherry Burek. Like, Miroslav, start us off a little bit. We're not going to go long. We want to play the Flirty Dozen.
Yeah, sure. Let's just be short on this. So, I really don't want to let myself feel that Jamal is coming back too. I just want to take it one step at a time. Let's get Porter first.
You want to overdose on happiness?
No, because if I overdose, I don't know what will happen. So if we get Michael Porter, so imagine, okay, let's say Jamal maybe a couple of weeks later. Let's see what happens with Porter coming in. My theory from the beginning, since we started talking about him possibly coming back, because his injury recovery was never more than 4 months. That's what we know thanks to Adam's doctor. But I'm thinking that the Nuggets should slowly put Porter back into the game on a minutes restriction by playing him off the bench. So don't put him in the starting lineup. Yeah. Just putting on the bench. It's easier for the minutes restriction as well. And also, you can make a dynamite bench unit with him. You already have great starters, great 5 guys on the starting unit. And let's see some of the 5-man units you can get. You can get, listen to this, Bones, Forbes, Porter, Zeke, and Cousins. That's like 170 offensive rating and 165 defensive rating. I want to watch that.
So +5.
Give me like 5 games of that. I don't care if they lose all 5 of those games. That would be dynamite. And let's go the other way. So let's say Bones, Rivers, Porter, J. Mike, and Cousins, like AKA the dogs, dogs around Porter. And then let's say Bones, Rivers, Forbes, Porter, J. Mike, like a small ball version of this. And I again, I know Michael Malone, I know you're watching this. Don't go small, please. Just do me a solid and just go
do
big.
it. He's gonna do it.
so many solutions, and I'm only talking about the regular season. We'll dive into
there's time for
playoff
that. I mean, Josh
on.
Barnett has the bench in sync. Do you ruin that? I mean, that's like relative sync. Like we have game to game, like we can have like a bad game from the bench. So I think like you kind of have to, and in that case, like I would, when he comes back, like you have more bodies. I would also entertain the fact of, well, maybe like rest Bill Barton for a minute, and then put Rivers in the starting unit, and then MPJ takes his spot in the bench, like just something, and then you'll hone in like your best players. And with Malone has shown, I mean, this year, like we talk about always that he's inflexible, but this year he's shown a little bit more openness to it. And it just, a problem is with Barton, like being like, if he's just stubborn and doesn't want to rest. But you see, if I were them, I would just lay out like, hey, these are stats like when you're rested. Like you go for a 30 piece, and then you go little off when you have 3 games in 4 nights. Like, what if we rested you like the second game against Portland when you're 1 of 8, and just have Michael Porter you frame it that way. Like, this is the best for you. Like, you're the most effective
for the playoff. That's what Will wants. Will, above all else, he does not want to miss out on another.
Exactly. Like that's your pitch. Like, hey, do this because we can then rotate a little bit of these guys. Like, you don't want to lose Rivers completely out of the lineup, especially with this defensive contributions right now. So like you have maybe Forbes a few games off too, and you have a shooter then in Michael Porter. Like there's options. Obviously, like it's gonna be fun. I'm just excited to see how they do it. Like especially I think he should be off the bench, and I wouldn't even, when we get to the playoffs, I wouldn't even mind him coming off the bench in the playoffs as well, because that was the bubble. Like that's the best success that they had for a while. So it might be interesting, especially with his minutes restriction probably coming into the playoffs. Wouldn't be bad to have a couple of shooters off the bench just to do that. Like what Miroslav said, like 170 offensive, 165 defensive. Just throw some chaos in there with that, that way.
Last quick. I know we want to move on, but the last question that I have germane to this. So let's say Porter is with the bench. Do you keep starting Jeff? Does JaMychal Green with the starters appeal to you at all? Because he has played well with them. And Jeff is kind of running out of steam, but I'm just curious.
I still think you do it. Like, I think he's still like mobile enough and smart enough to take advantage of those things that Michael Porter didn't. Jeff, yeah. And I think, and also I think he's one of those like Jokic type guys. Like he can load manage on the run. Like he had a really good game yesterday, not the one on Saturday. He was just kind of picking which one he's gonna do. Like, we started off sluggish. I'm gonna take my guy and just post up and get an easy layup and just do my thing. And he had 14 points, like pretty routinely. So I think he still has it. And I think like what Adam was saying, like in his list at the beginning of the year, like he has those things that, man, if Michael Porter can hone in with his jump shot, like I don't even know what's after unstoppable. Like they're already unstoppable, and that was 10-game series last year. Add Michael Porter adding that like quick low post in the transition and quick cuts like that, he can read well like Jeff does. Like then it's just a whole different ballgame.
Yeah, and I like Jeff over there. You can reduce TC minutes to 20 minutes per game. That's completely fine. He doesn't play in the 4 quarters anyway. So that's fine. And I think he's more versatile than J. Mike for the starting lineup as well. So this is why I prefer Jeff as well.
Yeah, especially then you're right. Like you start him off well, and he's already not closing. So instead of Rivers, maybe it's Michael Porter that's closing. You have a bigger lineup.
That's right.
Or like you have someone else, like coming in and have Rivers for defense and. I don't know, you're not benching Gordon, but like have some kind of, permutation of those lineups. And again, like it's going to be fun. Like I can, it's kind of like, I can't wait. Yes, they are in sync right now, but never hurts to like try to improve. So Michael Porter gets you that. You want to go to Flirty Dozen quickly?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. The Flirty Dozen.
Yeah.
Let's just get the graphic from
see.
Kale.
Yeah,
so
there we go.
there
so
it
we are
is.
we are
Wow, that is disgusting. I don't like that at all.
We are contractually obligated to play this game at least 10 times because artist from Denver called Eric Weedham spent a lot of time making this graphic, so we have to honor him. So what the Flirty Dozen is, you know that Nikola Jokic is always flirting with a triple-double. So
That's right.
I wanted, and because we cannot use, the name of the famous movie and TV show as well, we have to make a fork of it. So Flirty Dozen, we are talking about guys that have just missed some statistical numbers recently. So I will start with the 3 guys on the Nuggets that almost missed. That actually, I don't have these 3 guys. I just remembered I had to put it on my list and I didn't. So for you, I only have 9 guys for today. You need to guess the list of 9 guys who have recorded exactly 9 turnovers in a game this season. So these guys have missed on a double-double or a triple-double or maybe even a quadruple-double because they didn't have 10 turnovers, only 9.
Okay, so short on the crazy stat because of turnovers.
Yeah. That's right. No, so it doesn't matter. I don't care about the other stats. These guys recorded exactly 9 turnovers in a game.
Okay,
so
Jokic's got to be in there, right?
Yeah, Jokic, yep.
Yeah, Jokic is on the list, of course.
Yep. We got Westbrook,
yes, twice. Actually,
it would have been funny if you had like 10 and 8 and never 9.
Right. Yeah, it's a possibility. Okay, I will give you some clues as soon as you start missing out. So Westbrook and Harden, yes, he actually only did it once, which is kind of surprising.
He barely tried. So
yeah, that's right.
Yeah. There was just that week where he was like, "I don't want to be here." So.
Yeah. Let's see who else is a ball, like LaMelo maybe.
LaMelo is not on the list. Okay, I will give. Yeah, it was an excellent guess, but he's not on the list. Okay, Embiid is not on the list for some reason. I don't have.
He doesn't pass, so it's fine.
let me give you a clue. So this one guy has been an all-star for the first time this season, and his team is 12-2 when he doesn't play.
Oh, Morant.
Ja Morant is correct. So can you imagine Nuggets without Jokic going 12-2? That would be awesome.
Dude, that's crazy. It's also really annoying, but good for them.
Yeah.
LeBron has 9, right?
LeBron James is not on the list. Let me give you another clue.
Let's go with the chat.
Luka is correct, of course.
Yeah,
Luka, of course, he is handling the ball so much. Okay, you want some other guesses, or shall we go to another clue? Yeah, let's go
with the hint.
Okay, the hint. So this player is in trade rumors for the last 3 seasons because his team sucks. But Bradley Beal has played for only Bradley Beal. That's correct. Bradley Beal is correct. I was a bit
better than
Eric.
Eric choked on this game.
I mean,
you're really good.
Dude, really, Eric was horrible at this game. It was so funny. We were talking about near triple-double misses, and he kept guessing these like crazy high scores who didn't get any assists at all. He was like, let's think, Devin Booker. It was horrible.
That's awesome.
Let's go with the Trae Young.
Yeah, Trae Young is an excellent guess, and it's correct.
Vlad in chat also said it. Great.
How many do we have, Miro?
We only have 2 more. Only 2 more. So one guy calls himself the greatest big man shooter of all time.
No, Karl Anthony Towns.
Towns.
9? That's insane.
How did he lose 9?
He gets doubled a lot because Jared Vanderbilt can't shoot.
Yeah, and he sucks at it, right?
Can't pass. Yeah, so like he can pass, but out of doubles, he turns it over a lot.
Yeah. So. Let's see what else we have.
We have the last one. It's not an easy one, so let me help you. This player was drafted and played his rookie season for Cleveland, but for the last 2 seasons, he played for one of the worst teams in the West. He has the same last name as one of the current Nuggets.
Drafted in Cleveland, played for one of the worst teams
in the West since. Yeah.
No, it's not DeJounte Murray.
He's a third season player. So 1 season in Cleveland and then 2 seasons in this really bad Western team.
So it's someone from OKC traded there? Like he has to be young. Portland maybe. Who's bad?
I got nothing.
Pelicans.
No.
Is it Shea?
Oh, that's right. Casey said Porter Jr.
Kevin Porter Jr. is
Kevin
right. Kevin
Porter
Porter
Jr.
Jr.
There we go. That's the chat's coming in clutch. Like
Chat,
Casey
dude, let's go.
and Patrick. Yep.
Yeah, this is a top level chat.
KPJ. Yeah.
Good job,
Wow.
guys. Good job.
Good job, chat.
You've been real flirters today.
Yep.
That's me, man. I just can't stop flirting.
When I see you in that shirt, come on. What else comes in mind?
Man. Hey,
Exactly.
it's the international sign of swingers. That's what Adam tells me.
Oh my god, that's hilarious. Awesome. Yeah. So that's it. That's it for our Serbian Corner today. Thanks everyone for watching, for participating. We'll try to fit in some flirty dozens every once in a while if we have any one of these interesting stat lines. Let's go Nuggets. We'll see you next week. Follow us on Twitter, on all the networks, on YouTube channel and podcast feed. Idemo Nuggets. Let's go. Yeah, we're still on.
Okay, bye for real.
Okay.
Thanks for having me, guys. It was